All right, let's talk about exponential and logarithmic models. This video is basically going to talk about where we can actually use exponentials and logarithmics in the real world and how we can relate them all to sort of a basic formula. Down here at the bottom, you'll notice we have exponential growth and decay model. This f of x equals ae to the bx, right? It's very similar to the old PERT formula, if you're familiar with that, principal times e, right, raised to the rt. It's a very similar model. It can kind of suffice for a lot of different models that we might have, right? So the first thing we want to remember, and notice the two examples up top are great examples of it, is most of the time an exponential function at its most basic is really just two parts. You have an initial value down here that tells you where you're going to begin, right? So for the first one, that's 5. For the second example here, we've got 200. And then number two, often we have that r value or that rate sort of going on up in the exponent. Now you'll notice for the two up top here, it's just x. But again, down here in the model, again, we've got that bx, right? Sometimes there's a b multiplied in there or a rate multiplied in there. Other than that, they basically come down to that, growth rate or that growth model being times 2 or times 0.8, or again, for our exponential growth and decay model, our continuous model, right? We have that e to the power of. All exponential functions can be related to that continuous model. So let's show you how that works. First of all, we're going to do a quick review. Way back when we first learned how to do slope-intercept form, we learned y equals mx plus b. And when we first learned how to write a slope-intercept form equation, what we used to do is say, okay, well, if we know the slope, let's just plug our point in. If y is 5, right, when the slope is 7 and x is 2, right, I'm going to fill in the y, the m, and the x. What I don't know right now is my y-intercept, right, my b value. So 5 would equal 14 plus b. And if I subtract 14 from both sides, basically this just becomes b is -9. So now I can write my model y equals the slope times x minus 9, and very simply, we use one coordinate, right, to find the missing part of my equation. Well, that same idea can be used when we talk about the exponential growth and decay model. We can use one coordinate. Over here, it's going to be the 65.536, right, that point sort of anywhere on the line to define this model. Now, first we have to use the first initial point up there, though, that 0, 200. But the nice part is the way that works is if we did like we did on the last screen, 200 would be my output. So that's sort of my f of x in my model here. We don't know the initial value, but we're going to say a times e raised to the, again, b times x. But the nice part is for the point 0, 200, x was 0. Well, b times 0 is 0, and e to the 0 is really just 1. So that's a times 1, which basically immediately just tells us that a equals 200 for us. Again, that's why we often call it the initial value. It's when the x value is 0, our initial value would be that output, or that 200 right now. So again, we don't always have to do that solving. Obviously, as you can see, if we can get that from the graph, we can immediately just state that. So that's helpful. However, we still need to find the b value. Again, to define this equation, we need to define both the a and the b. Well, we found a. Let's go find b. So if our output now is 65.536, now we know the a value, right? We know that initial value is going to be 200 times e raised to the b times x. Well, for us, x is 5 this time. Well, if we do a little bit of solving, basically we want to take 65.536. We're going to divide that by 200, right, in order to get that 200 off of the right side there. Then I can take the natural log of that statement in order to cancel the e on the right side, right? We would take natural log of both sides. And then finally, we'll just divide by 5 on both sides. And we'll find out that b is approximately equal to, well, I'm going to need my calculator for that. So again, let's remember our numbers, 65.536, or 0.536, yeah, 65.536. I'm going to go ahead and call up my calculator, and we just need to find those numbers. So let's take the natural log of 65.536 divided by, right, I just got to remember my numbers here, 200 inside the logarithm, because remember the first thing we did was divide by 200, then we took the natural log, and then finally we divided by 5, right? We divided by that x value. And if I press enter there, we find out negative 0.223 approximately, accurate to 3 decimal places. I'm actually going to keep a few extras because you might actually need more than that to be more accurate. So 0.22314, 0.22314, negative 0.22314. And now I can write my model. So f of x would be equal to 200 e to the negative 0.22314 x. And again, that model, right, should be the model of that green line in the upper right. And it makes sense that we got a negative b value, right? That's sort of like that rate in the PERT formula. If you have a negative rate or a negative b value, then your function is decaying. So there's why we were dropping, right, from left to right. We're decaying away toward the asymptote, right, toward toward y equals 0, right, toward that horizontal asymptote. Let's take a look at another model. Again, this one's not exactly a PERT formula, but you can see it in the model. You've got e to the kx here. So instead of calling it b, they just called it k. But again, we've got the sales in thousands of units, right, for this cleaning solution. And this model is going to model sort of how that's happening. When $500 is spent on advertising, we know that 2,500 units will be sold. Well, there's our given information, right? There's a coordinate point for us, right? If S is the unit sold, we just figured out that when X is 500, right? 500's of $100, right? When X is 500, Y will be 2,500 units sold. Well, now S is in thousands though. So note that technically, right? X $100, well, I better convert this a little bit. We actually don't want to say 500. If X is in hundreds of dollars, then X is $500, right? And Y is in thousands, so that's really 2.5 thousand, right? We're going to move that decimal 3 spots, 2.5 thousand. So now let's go find K, and I've got it worked out here at the right. So we're going to put in 2.5, we're going to put in 5. We're going to do a little solving, so again, divide by 10, subtract your 1, divide away that negative, right? Divide by -1 on both sides. Take the natural log, and again, divide by 5, just like we did last time. So natural log of 0.75 divided by 5, we get our nice K value. So our growth rate, or right now decay rate, right? Again, -1. So we're going to have that as our model then. So now estimate the number of units that would be sold. Well, again, if we raised $1,500, right? If the expenditures were raised to that, well, instead of the 500 then, instead of the 5, right? We want 15. That's $1,500. So if we just put 15 in for T, very simply, we can estimate the number of units, right, that we would sell. And again, in thousands, we're going to move that decimal 3 spots again. That would be 5,779 units. There we go. Now, that's not the only type of model that we can use with exponentials. So at the end of this video, we'll just go over a couple of other models. One model that uses some exponentials would be a Gaussian model, or what we often call a bell curve in statistics, right? A Gaussian model, which talks about the average of something. The high point of this would sort of be the average. So the time in hours per week that a college student spends in the library roughly follows this, what we call a normal distribution, okay? A bell curve, a Gaussian model, where X is the time spent in the library. Well, you'll notice right in the middle here, we've got e to the power of, we've got our variable up in the exponent. So that's an exponential function. So again, we're not going to go in depth into this type of a model, but just realize that again, a bell curve or a Gaussian model has a lot to do with exponential functions. Another one would be the Richter scale. Anytime we're talking about really, really, really big numbers or really, really, really tiny numbers like the decibel scale, um, basically a logarithmic model can be used to rescale that model, right? If there were 794, it looks like a million ergs of energy that went into an earthquake in Japan. Well, that number is really hard to comprehend. That's a really big number. So we use a logarithmic scale to tell us, oh, that's an 8.9 on the Richter scale. Same thing goes for a couple other earthquakes over here. It's much easier to recognize that, hey, San Francisco has 7.8, so pretty bad earthquake, pretty big earthquake, pretty much much stronger than the 5.5 in North Dakota in 1909, right? So probably got a lot more advertising out of that one. But again, notice the actual amounts of energy going in, 63 million versus 316,000 ergs of energy. So again, that's why it's much easier on the Richter scale to recognize that in that way. Right? Last model we'll talk about very quickly is the logistic model. This is the model of how things are sort of adopted in the real world. So when something becomes very popular, like let's say an iPhone comes out, right? Few people get it at the beginning, and then as it becomes really popular and everybody realizes they want one, people adopt it, and then pretty soon 100%, that's what that top line would be. If the total population, right, had that model, well, not very many people need to still get one. So again, the growth model sort of starts to slow down. And again, it's the same way that the spread of a virus can happen. So again, a few people get it, and then there's that spike, right, of everybody getting it. But then pretty soon that you get that herd immunity going on, right? Only a few people are left to get that. Same way that the flu happens every year or cold viruses. Again, they sort of come about. Everybody starts getting sick, right? The really horrible time of the year. And then finally, everybody's sort of immune at the end, right? Again, that's a logistic model. So notice down here, e to the power of. You've got sort of this logistic rational functions meet exponential functions idea going on. Again, if you want to know about any of those models or if you have any questions on that exponential growth model, right, feel free to talk to your teacher. Otherwise, have a great day.